South Africa, Sawubona, Utsihilijang, Hochandit, Goeiedag. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a segment we haven't done since August. My goodness, the time does fly when the world is busy with the shenanigans going on. Well, welcome back once again to Fireside with the Colonels. It's Colonel Wynand Toit and Chris Wyatt. Wynand, Hochandit, how you doing there?
Chris, yeah, good evening from my side. I think your side is somewhere in the morning.
Yep.
But anyway, Chris, yeah, you're quite right. The last time we chat was actually with the Kampvuur stories, Mary Colonelle, here in Uppington. And somehow we have missed each other over the following months. You were busy with your tours, and then I was on the tour. But it's great to be back. Great to have a chat with you tonight.
No, it's fantastic. And I mean, there's been so much time that's passed in the past couple of months. There's a lot of topics to talk about. We can delve into some of those. But before we go any further, let's just let's get the important niceties out of the way. And that's Geseinde Kerstfeest, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Both have already come and gone, but I didn't have a chance to say that to you in person. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thank you, Chris. And yeah, may 2023 be very prosperous. And let's hope for the best. I think it's going to be a very, very tough year on the whole world, but we will get through it.
I agree with you. It's probably going to be a challenging year, but I've decided I'm going to own 2023. It's mine. I'm taking possession of it right now, and I'm not going to let trolls. I'm not going to let crooked politicians. I'm not going to let hurricanes and tornadoes, load shedding, crappy airlines. None of that's going to get me down. At the lowest moment, I'm going to remember that life is a blessing, and I own 2023. So I'm just debating about what to do now. I just offered a job in Madagascar, and I'm debating about taking it. The compensation is a bit lower than I would expect, but I'm thinking about it. Not necessarily going to take it, but if I go to Madagascar, I'm going to need a firearm.
Yeah, but apparently quite easy to get one in Madagascar. Just a
That's
couple
what I
of
hear.
dollars on the table, so you will be okay.
That's what I hear. They're pretty easy to come by. It's kind of like Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I mean, then you are only a very short distance away from South Africa.
That's true. It's just a quick flight over there to OR Tambo. Flights are regular. I don't know if they still do the Durban flight or if they're doing that, but I know they do OR Tambo. Hey, listen, I was going through my things and I came across this morning. I thought maybe I should put it on there. There you go. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, great.
I need to loosen up a little bit. I haven't really worn it since I got it. I've been taking care of it so as it would stay in good condition. I got my hair cut. I thought I would need to put the band out a little bit, but apparently my brain's too big. Here we go. There we go. Now it's more comfortable. All right, so there we go. Yeah, here I was. I thought this was your personal logo, your brand logo, and find out that wasn't it at all. That was actually a surprise when I learned that the first time.
Yeah, no, but it's getting more and more well known here in South Africa. Some guys put stickers on the back of their cars as well. So yeah, I think most people here, this side, knows what it's standing for, and that it's actually the emblem of the Suidland Defense Group, which is under my control. And yeah, but I'm glad you are wearing it, Chris, and I think it fits now.
Yeah, looks great.
You know, the previous time in August, your hair was quite short, but your beard was longer.
Yeah, that's
now
true.
Your beard is shorter and your hair are long.
Well, the hair is actually, it's shorter than it was a week ago. I got the haircut first, then the beard trim. It wasn't traumatic, but getting the beard trim, but it was definitely different. That beard, the length had not been trimmed up significantly since 2019 when I retired from active service. And so, yeah, so it looks a bit different now. With this shirt on, I really look like a lumberjack. I should get busy cutting down some lumber out there. So, hey, listen, before we go any further, I really want to just go back and talk about August. Now, we did our last Fireside with the Colonels. I think it was like around the 8th of August or something like that, just before I left, thereabouts. And then I came to South Africa. My first stop, of course, was Cape Town, because that's what the trip was centered around. And then I left from there, went to OR Tambo, and came straight up to Uppington, which was pretty incredible. And I want to say, first off, the reception was unbelievable from you, your family, the Sightlanders, all the folks there were amazing. I couldn't have felt more welcome if I was among, well, I shouldn't say among family, because we don't always like our family members. members. But I couldn't have felt more welcome anywhere, I think, than I felt it up there with you all. And also, really, it was an amazing experience. The event was incredible, despite the subterfuge that took place with a channel getting a strike 5 minutes before the live broadcast. We still managed to get 22,000 people who found the broadcast one way or another when it switched to another channel, I think to your channel. And that's 22,000 online while we were live. That was incredible. Plus, the 200 plus people were there, and it was pretty incredible. But the strange thing to find it is that I want to thank you for that. But bye donkey. But I got to tell you that having talked to a lot of people traveling around South Africa after that event, I kept hearing that everybody was enthralled by my combat boots. That's what they were talking about. They kept staring at my combat boots. Half the time they were in the chat commenting about my combat boots and not about what we were discussing, which was, I thought, entertaining.
Yeah. People focus on funny things, but you must remember you said that evening with your feet up like this.
I did.
So maybe that was what brought it on. But I must tell you, it was a tremendous pleasure for us to have you here. And I think all the people have enjoyed it thoroughly. The feedback was also incredible. And it was just a great evening. And there was so much more that I wanted to discuss, but we ran literally out of time. I mean, all of a sudden it was 11:30 the evening and we're still busy. We could have gone on for another 2-3 hours.
Easily. Yep.
But that was great. I agree with you.
No, it was absolutely incredible. The venue was excellent. But the one thing was a bit interesting is that when we went out the night before at a local, a little watering hole there we went to, and I was standing around without a coat on, and it was wintertime, and everybody was dead set on putting me in a coat. I was quite fine. I was warm. I didn't need the coat, but they just kept pushing. So, it's a little chilly here. It's wintertime this side now. So, I had to dig through my closet and find something warm to put on. So let me see if I can put this on and get a little bit warmer here. So for those who don't know what this is, there's the jacket that goes with the cap. Anyway, so this jacket was actually put on me for the first time when I was quite comfortable and warm at a braai late at night when all the South Africans had their dentures chattering. And as soon as the two guys who insisted that I wear it put it on me, when they were out of eyesight, it came right back off.
No, great, that's great. Yeah, this side is now extremely warm. Today was a bit cooler, but our average temperatures is now running 35 to 42 in that vicinity. But I do enjoy the warm weather, and I can think that there are some guys that is quite cold in the rest of the world, but at least we are okay for the moment. I've just tried to look at YouTube. I think the last time I looked, we had over 55,000 views or 65,000 views on that one.
Wow, cool. That's pretty cool. I haven't gone back and looked at it since it first happened. I was just impressed at how many people managed to find us after that strike, which suspiciously timed 5 minutes before the live broadcast. That's kind of odd, but yeah. Now, John Huchin, who lives in Arizona here, he says he watches your channel to learn Afrikaans, and he thanks you for the subtitles. That was an addition you had put on the channel, which is helping folks. And so there you go. There's somebody that watches your channel and is learning his Afrikaans from listening to you. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I can just mention that the lady that is doing the subtitles for me, she has been on leave, but tomorrow morning's broadcast will have the subtitles back. So she just returned from leave so she can start working.
Okay, well that's good. But anyway, so no, he apparently he enjoys it, and of course, I watch your channel periodically, but not enough recently. I've been watching many people's channels. I don't get notifications anymore. I do all the things that you're supposed to do in the app, on your browser, and settings and permissions, and so many channels I never get notifications for. It's only the channels I don't want to watch I get notified.
But that is very obvious and visible in the last couple of week or two, last couple of weeks, that the channels that I normally watch, nothing appears.
Yeah.
And all I almost used a very ugly word, but all the
The
all the
nonsense,
bullshit
the nonsense channels that you don't
yeah,
care
the
about.
nonsense.
Yeah.
And then I have to go and search
Yep.
for the specific people. Otherwise, they don't appear.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, look, we're not getting into a conversation complaining about what's going on with social media, but I mean, it's obvious. Like, for instance, I know TikTok is a Chinese spy program, but I have a mobile, I put it on, and I started putting some videos on TikTok, and where I wasn't being shadow banned. And in 4 days, I had 150,000 views. On 4 particular videos. I did about 20 videos, 150,000 views, which is more than I've had in 4 months on YouTube. Now, bear in mind that before I got hassled, the first time they took my first channel down, I would get 10 to 15,000 views per day and 2,500 hours of content viewed every day. That's back when I had more subscribers than you have. I had 23,000 at that point back in time. Yeah. So, now I put a video up, it's like 85, 100 people see it, live streams, 75 to 150, maybe max for that. I did a TikTok live stream and I had 850 people watching, it's so anyway, but yeah, it's a shame because this platform has mastered the way to allow content creators to create content. It's unfortunate they're destroying their business, and we don't really have a good alternative. I use Rumble and other things, but they're not as good. So we got to push through and hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, but I think so. I think there's going to come a change after the Twitter situation, which is now unraveling a lot of secrets and stuff. I think that slowly but surely the other platforms will sort of try to sort themselves out.
Well, let's hope so. But let me ask you that. I wasn't really thinking about asking that, but I mean, you're obviously paying attention to it. The Twitter files, Elon Musk. Look, I'm pretty clear on Elon Musk. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. The guy's genius. He's got great strategic vision and thinking. He really knows what he's doing when it comes to ideas and bringing them to fruition. But he's a bit of a wackadoodle. The guy likes to smoke daga on the radio when kids are listening, and he said some outlandish things, and he talks about free speech, but he's not really practicing it entirely. But nonetheless, I think what he's done is really made the cabal that's running things very nervous because everything we believe to be true and we claimed, it's all coming true. There's no longer anything such thing as a conspiracy theory. Now they're just simply accurate future predictions. What are your thoughts on the Twitter files?
I'm curious about Fauci's files that is coming out. I think later today or something like that. But no, I don't have a fixed opinion on Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. Initially, I thought, great. At least he was in South Africa for a big time of his life. But then he said something. He said he left South Africa because he didn't want to do national service.
Yeah, that tells you something about his character, doesn't it?
And that was for me the line.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I got you 100% there. I got issues with people that behave in that way. It's kind of like when you're broadcasting and people come on and they insult you, and these people have never done anything, never sacrificed anything for God or country or their fellow man, and they run off at the mouth and they just say the most vile insults. I'm like, I did the video the other day because someone insulted me, and there's just a bunch of stuff. They didn't like what I had to say. And I was simply stating the facts, reporting the press, not even giving any bias to it, just simply stating and just, hey, someone needs to talk about this. And they just nasty things. And so I did another video and I said, do you think that your juvenile insults harm my ego, my id? I mean, I've dodged live bullets and artillery and mortar rounds and assassination attempts by terrorists. And, slay me with your harsh words, grow up and get a real life. It's funny. People who've never had their character forged in the crucible of combat or even served for something above themselves as a policeman, an EMT, emergency medical technician, a military member, a cop, they just don't know, and they just run off at the mouth. It's just funny how free and how easy a keyboard and a mobile phone make people to behave like fools, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. If I just take on the veterans groups, everybody on the veteran groups, most of them, 99%, according to them, has gone through a firefight has been in contact with the enemy. And I can tell you now that less than 5% of national servicemen has ever seen action.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's make it 10%. I mean, sometimes people have patrolled the border in Namibia for 6 months. And they haven't seen one single swap.
Yep.
Nothing. But now everybody is coming forward. And then there's people who haven't even served on the border, who've gone more crazy than the rest of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I say to the people, it doesn't matter as long as you have contributed. If you have been on the border and you haven't had a contact, you were still part of the fight. Even if you was only doing logistics or military policeman, doesn't matter, you bring your side. But be careful what you commit.
Yep.
Because you must
don't claim false honor. Don't claim false honor.
Exactly.
Yep.
But then you got guys that wasn't even in the force, who wasn't in the parachute battalion or in the submarines, and they sort of that how does you call it, wall of shame stuff, where they actually dishonoring the people who have died for their units.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, it's, let me just, a couple things in the chat. Carlo Voss is in Costa Rica. Wow, what a lovely location. I'm not a big fan of Latin America, but Costa Rica is a lovely country. A well-run country, by the way. So my uncle was going to buy a place there back in the 70s. He had heart problems. He flew to Costa Rica, put the deposit down, went back to Chicago, got off the plane, and had a heart attack and died on the tarmac in like 1978. Whew. So he never did live in Costa Rica. And then also, Steve says back in the day was a recce. Okay, there you go. Cool. You know, let me grab something real quick. Hang on. So I don't know if I talked about this, and you'll get it, because, I mean, whoops, where'd my earpiece go? I lost part of my earpiece there. Well, that's no good. Oh, my goodness. Where'd it go? Oh, I lost it. The rubber piece fell out.
Let's say hi to Carlo.
It's still in my ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it now.
Let's say hi to Carlo there in Costa Rica, because he was here in South Africa end of last year. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so you know Carlo. Okay, cool. Excellent. All right, well, cool. I don't know if he's on vacation or if he's just decided to live there or what's going on, but
he's working there.
Oh, he's working there. Okay, cool. Well, speaking of false honor and things like that and pride, I mean, look behind you. I don't see any decorations or war medals or things like that. Look behind me. Do you see anything like that? No. We don't hang those things up. Look, I don't criticize people hang up their achievements on the wall. You should be proud of what you do. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think that, you know, the approach that you and I both take is a much more modest. I appreciate things. So last night on a live stream on a different platform, people were asking about when I was in Africa. And I said, well, you know, this year, 14 years after I rebuilt the Armed Forces of Liberia, the government of Liberia gave me a national award. This is the Distinguished Service Order, Gold. Only about 18 people have ever received this decoration. It's a national decoration. And there's the medal for rebuilding the Armed Forces of Liberia after the war. That's kind of cool. And so look where it's at. It's in a box. It's not hanging on my chest. It's not hanging up on the wall. I mention it to people occasionally, but of course people come at and you're like, oh, you're so proud of that. I'm like, well, it's I suppose, but I mean, what do you mean by that? It's not like I run around going to Starbucks. Hey, look at this war medal I got here.
Yeah, while you're showing that, let me get one.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll show it again for the audience. All right, here you go. While he's getting that, so we fill up the camera screen a little bit there. Courtney's here in Navy Reserve for 10 years, deployed twice. Never seen any combat. Actually, really thankful. Yeah, I don't blame you. War is not what you want, folks. You don't want to see war. And when he comes back and shows, here you go. So look at that. He has to dig it out because it's hidden. It's put away because, you know, there we go. Okay, let's see what you got there.
I must just have it the right side around.
There you go. Oh, cool. That's incredible. Which decoration is that?
That's the National Order of Merit of the Republic of the Congo.
Okay.
Congo Brazzaville.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the reason why I received it is fairly interesting, but it's a couple of years later, and I received it, according to them, for the role I played in the release of Nelson Mandela.
Okay. Okay, that's cool, I suppose. Interesting stuff there.
And I spent the time in prison.
In prison, yeah, as a POW. Yeah.
So it's a bit dubious, but it gives me an idea. So you should actually call me sir.
Oh, you're a knight. Okay, all right. I didn't know they had knights in the DRC. That's a new one on me.
Not DRC, Republic of the Congo, eh? Congo Brazzaville.
Oh, Congo Brazzaville. Sorry, so Congo Brazzaville. Yeah, I said DRC. Yeah, Congo Brazzaville. I didn't know they had knights either, so didn't know that was part of the system. Yeah. So Steve was saying that well, he was joking. He said, Alma was in Reki. And in other words, people always run around saying I used to be a Reki. Not that he was a Reki. I didn't get the joke. Joke's on me. You're right. People do say that. Yeah, that's part of the problem. Nigel was in the South African Navy back in the early '70s. Didn't see any action, but appreciated those that did. Yeah, and to this day, I really feel bad for Nigel suffering, serving in an inferior service like the Navy, unlike the ground forces.
Yeah, but Chris, there's also a huge misconception about the role that the South African Navy played in the border war. I did 95% of all my operations. I did from either a submarine or from a surface ship.
Yeah.
They were very, very much involved in the war, but maybe not in the bush war, because the bush war you need a bush, but in the border war definitely, because even the sea got a border.
Yeah, no, I got you. Look, I'm not throwing shade on the Navy or the South African Navy for the border war and the bush war. I mean, I'm just saying it's the Navy. Come on, man. Come on, join a real service. Join the ground forces. No, but you're right. I mean, you were being taken into the location by those Daphne submarines back in the day, so you can make those infiltrations in the dark of night. No kidding, right?
Yeah, and I'm very proud of the boys. What they did, the way they handled themselves. If you will allow me, I can tell you a little story which happened. We did an operation near Namibia. We actually blew up the railway line, the bridge over the Giral River, as well as the road bridge over the Giral River.
This isn't the Bengala Railway, is it?
It's part of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's just north of Namib harbor itself, the old Mosamides. But anyway, that night we landed dry feet on the land. The sea was flat and was calm. And then during the process, the infiltration, the placing of the charges and the exfiltration, something changed, and the sea was violent when we came back at the coast. But in the process of extraction, one of the Barracuda boats, which weighs about 2 tons, overturned in the surf. So now we were a couple of guys stranded at the shore, and we will have to get back to the strike crafts, which must pick us up. And eventually we had to swim through the waves. Some of the guys who was less adept to swimming, we had a rope tied around them and pull them with the other boats through the surf, get them on board. And I remember swimming on my back. It was already daylight, and then the breaches blow. So now we have missed the rendezvous with the surface craft, with the strike craft. We've missed it. So now we are overloaded, because now we only got 3 boats left. So we got the personnel of 4 boats on 3 boats. And the emergency plan was, now we must drive out to sea 180 sea miles out, where we will then meet up at the emergency rendezvous. And as we were struggling along, we weren't even out of sight of the coast yet. I think we were about 2 kilometers from the coast. We just saw these 2 ships come running in next to each other. They broke all the rules, all the laws, and they come and pick us up there and to get out. And as we pass out to the sea again, you can see the Russian cruisers lying at their berths in Namib Harbor. Some of them even were smoking the funnels, ready to go. And those guys just became sort of daredevils. They broke all the rules, but they said they are not going to leave these guys behind. And they picked us up. And we got out unscathed.
Well, that's awesome. Nobody left behind. You got to appreciate teammates like that. I mean, that's who you want to have in your back when you're doing an operation like that, doing a special ops sort of thing. I got a super chat here from Garden State Gardener from New Jersey, $5. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. I'll retire the bell there, Arctic, if you're here very soon. This is the Christmas bell. We're finished Christmas. Let's go back to the Bavarian cowbell. We'll go back to that one. That's a little bit different. A couple comments in the chat really quickly to get to here. Now, after our sitrep says, Finant was just an unfortunate pawn sent to the slaughter. He says that with respect. He's not, it's no dig on you. He's just basically saying the country betrayed people, I think is the intent there. Robert Pick says submariners do it the deepest. Yeah, rumor has it. They also share bunks. We're not going to get into that topic. That's another story. John Jarvis has a question for you. He says, please ask Finant where Cobus Stoltz is staying these days. I've known him for a long time, but lost contact. Do you know Cobus?
Yes, he was with us on the stage on the night of the year.
Oh, that Cobus. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can share that on air if you want to share it on air. But John Jarvis is looking to make contact with him again, I guess. If you could just send me a note, Finant, and I can make sure we get to John Jarvis if that's okay. If you're able to do that.
Yeah, I'll ask Cobus if it's okay, and then I will. We'll send it to you.
And that's exactly the way to do business. That's the way I do it too. I don't just hand stuff out. So that's a very professional, respectful way to do it. Sajida Stander says Iron Fist from the Sea, South Africa Seaborne Raiders, 1978-88. It's a book by Arne Söderlund and Douw Sten. Oh, okay. I don't know that book. I just picked a book up about Jan Christian Smuts, everybody's favorite person to hate in South Africa, about his role in the First World War, which I'm finding fascinating. The guy that wrote it teaches at Stellenbosch and also works in, I think, at the ENSP there in Pretoria, and the Executive National Security Program that the SANDF has. But he's writing the book, and I'm liking it from the standpoint that he's trying to be as objective as possible, looking at so many different sources from Schmutz's era all the way up until the most recent stuff, and also acknowledging that he's a controversial figure and people are applying this to him, and he's trying to sort through it. It's very objective so far. I like that. The other thing I like about it too is that he goes to great depth to talking about the formation of the Union Defense Force and the challenges of merging, the board mobile warfare doctrine along with the static sort of ground troop thing that the Brits had, and merging those things and the leadership. And anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm about 60 pages in, and hopefully the rest of the book is pretty good. But Jan Christian Smuts is not a topic that most people talk about these days.
But Iron Fist on the Sea by Douw and the commander is a very good book. It's especially good on statistics.
Okay.
On each and every operation that Full Reconnaissance has ever done. So it's an extremely good book if you want to look at it statistically wise. It's a good book.
All right. Well, thank you for that recommendation. I just bought a few books that came in. I bought a book from 1973 written about Smuts and not just him, but the East Africa campaign and the Southwest Africa campaign, which is interesting. And then I got another one written by one of the general staff. Essentially, he was a young company grade officer in the Boer Wars and then fought in the First World War conflicts and wrote this book. Collier, I think his name is, published back in 1936 or 37. It's obviously a reprint. So I'm just going through those, which are always good to take a look at. So yeah, I'll take a look for that book. That's interesting. I was not familiar with that one. So what's the possibility of Colonel Dutoy's book being translated? Well, which book? The guy's a prolific author. He's got a bunch of books. In fact, I was over my weight allowance. They charged me 8 billion rand to fly out of Cape Town because of all the books that Finant gave to me to come back with. No, but he was very generous. I've got a stack of books here that he gave to me. He has books in English and he has books in Afrikaans. So you're going to have to be specific, Steve. Which book are you looking for? Because it might be in English and we can let you know. Okay, what else we got here? People mention they're preppers here. Anyway, yeah. So when you're talking about being almost being left on the shore and the guy's not abandoning you, it's not the same sort of story, but kind of a war story that we were talking about stolen honor or that sort of thing earlier, and people claiming things that aren't true. But my first taste of battle and combat was in the Gulf War in 1991, and we had engaged already the 52nd Infantry Division. I was in an armor battalion. We had the most advanced tanks in the world, the M1A1 Heavy, which was the M1, 120 millimeter stabilized. We fire Sabo rounds, heat rounds through there. And you could fire it at 80 kilometers per hour, and hit the target because the stabilizer that barrel would be straight. It was unbelievable, the technology back then. Of course, we had night thermal sights, all that stuff, and we were Nomex, in case there's a fire inside the vehicle, because those fires like that, you just get torched and burned up. Anyway, so I was not in one of those. My unit was, but I was the intel officer, and I was in an M577, which is the command version of the M113 aluminum armored personnel carrier that you saw in Vietnam. So that's what we still had in the Gulf War. And of course, it's much taller, so it makes a nice target for enemy tanks. So I was in the back of that, and as an intel officer, I had I think 4 or 6 different radios. 4 were on 4 different networks: the ops and intel network, the command network, and I got a headset on, and I got a master switch here to switch between radio frequencies and communicate. And I got to push the talk button over here. And I'm standing back with my Nomex on, and I had a master sergeant. Was the crew chief for that vehicle, and he was up in the top. They had put sandbags around the opening of the top of the track, and we did. It's not a vehicle that has a weapon system, but he went and found a 50 cal and mounted it on there. So we look like something out of Mel Gibson, and what's that Australia thing, that Mad Max. So we had sandbags on top of it. We had a 50 cal mounted up there, and trust me, he was firing that thing up because the hatch cover's open, and it's a big hatch cover, and that sound is just echoing in there. I got my ears on, and I'm bouncing around back there, because what happened was we were fine. We're moving slowly, only about 20 or 30 kilometers per hour as we advanced, because we weren't in contact at this point. And all of a sudden, mortar rounds start going off all around it, and I can just barely hear them outside the vehicle. But the driver freaks out. He pulls back on the laterals, and the freaking thing starts spinning. Some in the back, whoa, falling over here. Stuff's falling off the shelves, coffee makers and stuff like that. And anyway, they finally, the NCO, the senior NCO got control, got him back on track. We got a defensible position there. We let the M1s engage the Talon division. In the meantime, I popped out of the track because we were in contact, and I was trying to get a better view of the battlefield. So I had one of those long cords, extension cords, so you could keep the headset on, and I could go about 15 meters away from vehicle. So I walk out around the vehicle, and I had my body armor on, and we were still in a mask. I should tell you that. We were wearing the protective mask because they're worried about nerve agent. So you can imagine with a protective mask on and Nomex and body armor and all that kit, and I got a headset on, and then mortar rounds going off. So I'm standing outside, rounds are exploding this way, they're exploding over there. And I look down, and there's a unexploded Sabo round right there, 2 meters to my left. So someone fired at us, and it bounced through the sand, and it didn't explode. I'm like, okay, well, sometimes you get lucky. So anyway, that just reminded me of that situation. That was that's pretty crazy. And that's a story I don't think I've told that story probably in 30 years. Anyway, if you want something unofficially modified, ask a Marine. Yeah, that's true.
If it's not your time, it's not your time, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you shouldn't push the envelope and take an unwarranted risk. But yeah, it's all rather So find it in the Civil War, the American Civil War. I had 7 great grandfathers, because I'm that generation where they were still great grandfathers. 7 of them. There were 8. I'm sorry, 8 of them. But the other one was 57 years old. He was too old to serve. But the rest were old enough in that time, 18 to about 30 or 40 or something like that. So 7 of my great grandfathers served in the Civil War, and they fought for the Union regiments in Maryland and what became West Virginia. So my great great grandfather, William Bear Grimes, of German heritage, he enlisted in 1862, and at the Battle of the Wilderness, I think it was, in Virginia, they're marching in formation, shoulder to shoulder, rifles marching forward into the withering enemy fire. The Confederates fire a volley. The guy on the left, the guy on the right, both took a mini ball right square in the forehead, dropped dead instantly. Couple inches, I wouldn't be here. Couple inches. It's not your time. It's not time. So he survived the war, went back, had a family, was a very prosperous farmer in Western Maryland, and is very prominent and well known. And to this day, that family surname is that's my grandmother's surname, is pretty prominent in that region. But yeah, just a twist of fate, bullets, if the wind a little bit going this way, that way, maybe the formation moved a little bit. That's just the nature of things. Life is precious. You got to enjoy it while you can, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's numerous examples of that. And I believe it. There's nothing you can do to prolong your life, and there's nothing you can do. Okay, perhaps a couple of things you can do to shorten it deliberately, but I don't think so. But yes, I believe in what happens to one has been determined, has been planned. Yeah.
So let's shift a little bit away from the war stories, although we do that, and talk a little bit about events in South Africa. And if you want to talk about U.S., we can do that too. But a few weeks back, some people are like, he's going to resign today. He's going to resign today. To which I'm referring Cyril Ramaphosa and the Pala Pala Farmgate scandal. When people predict that, I said, I really don't think Cyril Ramaphosa is going to resign. Apparently, he was pretty close to it. Insiders saying he was contemplating it, but he was convinced to hang on. But I didn't really think he was going to surrender because much like Mugabe in Zimbabwe, what are they going to do after that? Of course, in Zimbabwe it's slightly different. The crimes against humanity, the war crimes committed by ZANU-PF, the not genocide, but the wholesale murder of Ndebele in Matabeleland in the Gukurunda there, however you pronounce that word, the sorting of the chaff. But the reason Mugabe never left is because the people around him, they can't let the old man go. Because when he goes, then the gloves come off and we're all going to be prosecuted if someone else takes over this government. Now, in the case of Ramaphosa, I don't know that they're worried about that. They're pretty good at avoiding criminal charges and delaying trials into perpetuity. But they have no one else that can stand up in front of the suckers, the sheep, and, lull them into a sense of comfort and sleep. I think that's Cyril Ramaphosa's superpower. He's narcolepsy man. He puts you right to sleep when you talk to him there. But I didn't see him resigning. And the whole, I watched and broadcast live with Ronaldo when I call it the pro forma, the as if vote about the Section 89 report was rejected by the ANC. They look like a bunch of buffoons. No. It's just a bunch of clowns. Any thoughts on the Section 89 report and what may or may not happen going forward? Because at this point, Cyril Ramaphosa seems to be much stronger than he was 6 months ago. Or even 2 months ago.
Yeah. I'm going to make two comments.
Okay.
One, there's very few, and I can't recall one, African leader that has ever resigned or who have resigned because of scandal or anything like that. Not one has relinquished power. And then the other part of it is, if you are a strong leader, and that's not my opinion, it is the African opinion. If you are a strong leader, you deserve what you get. So if he got away with the millions of dollars in his sofa, in his bank, then he's a good leader. According to many of them.
Well, he's clever. Not so
He's clever. And we tend to look at them and judge them according to our Western orientated minds and how we are doing things and how democracy works in our heads. But we forget that we are working with people with things different than we do.
That's a good point.
The fact that Cyril is still there is, for me, is quite a surprise to a certain extent. But the signs was up in the time when he came with the possible resignation. In that time, it became known that he is not going to resign, and his chances for re-election are very good. But I think somewhere was a trade-off in the process.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There no doubt was some sort of quid pro quo that took place in the ANC. And also, I have little doubt that the news reports that came out during the conference are accurate. There's now an investigation by the ANC, but of course, that'll go nowhere, about vote buying. It was allegations in 2017 when he just beat Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma by 70 votes. This time, the margin was larger. And I mean, honestly, if you're a delegate in the African National Congress, what has Cyril Ramaphosa delivered for you? Unless, of course, you're crooked. You know, if you're a legitimate person serving governance as an ANC politician somewhere at the municipal, provincial, or national level, what has this gentleman done for the country? He promised to root out corruption. Corruption is worse today than it was under the state capture era. It's more pervasive. The dollar sums are larger. It's just not being covered by the media. Every time we turn around, there's a corruption case going on. There's a super chat from Stacy Montgomery, who's in San Diego, enjoying the New Year's Day, not the New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl parade. Thank you for that $10 super chat there, Stacy. Yeah, so it's he's not delivered that. He's done nothing about the issue of gender-based violence. He's done nothing about illegal workers in the country. He's done nothing but destroy the country and pilfer things. Now, Chris Fundavesto is in that. Oh, good.
But Chris, that is the whole point.
Yeah, it is.
They have never built anything. They have never repaired anything. They have never created anything. And they have never properly lead their people. Mm-hmm. It's all a question. And now you must remember that whoever would have taken over from him would have just continued in the same way and in the same line. They have constructed nothing. And the people who is questioning that, and then I'm talking about what is the word? This guy who have seen the light. There's many. Yeah. There's many supporters, black people, that has studied, has a better upbringing, understand what is going wrong in the country, and was criticizing him on that. The problem is they are not in government, or they are not in the ANC, and they are not there to use their expertise, which they have now learned about, and exercise that. And the people who is in government itself is the most low-schooled people.
Yeah, they're the least intelligent, no experience, no qualifications. By and large, they're just useful idiots who will do what they're told. And we saw that with the vote that took place on the Section 89. 100% agree with you on that one. That's absolutely the case here. Now, Chris Van de Westhuizen said, "Why did I cut my beard?" Well, I said I would keep the beard until the lockdown ended. The lockdown, in my view, hasn't ended, but I have to make some change at some point. It's been a couple years since my mother passed. I waited till the second anniversary of that. Then I decided it was time to trim it up. So I've trimmed it up. It might disappear entirely. 2024 is coming, and this country needs real leaders, not this cabal of uniparty Republicans, Democrats that are destroying it. And so I am exploring the possibility of running for office, and I'll debate about whether to keep the beard when I run for office. I'm debating about it. But anyway, it's time to cut it a little bit. I miss it. I'll tell you, I keep reaching down here and there's nothing there. It's very weird. But anyway, but it does give me a cleaner look, with the shorter normal hair, the military style haircut there, which is legitimate. But anyway, that's why I cut it, Chris. It was time. But I didn't cut it all off. It was a compromise. I'll tell you, the female viewers that I have, I lost 80% of them when I cut my beard. No, I'm just kidding. They all disappeared.
Anyway. Chris was also present here in Uppington on that evening.
Yeah. No, he pops in here occasionally. Thanks a lot, Chris. Good to see you there. I got to be honest with you, Vine. I met so many people there. I mean, a lot of names and faces went straight through because it was like seriously a whirlwind thing. We were there, we were gone. It was over. And I'm in touch with some of those folks. Rob, who was great, was a great person to be engaged with there. I'm in touch with Rob. We chat occasionally. It's kind of nice. It was that event was incredible, not just from the standpoint of what you guys put together, but the fact that so many people traveled so far. I mean, people came from Mpumalanga, they came from Gauteng, they came from Western Cape, from Northern Province, or Northwest Province, excuse me, Northwest
Mossel
Province,
Bay, yeah.
Mossel Bay, all over. I don't know if I came from KZN. That might have been a bridge too far, but people came from all over to go to this event, and it was really incredible. Like when Rob left, I talked to him, and I said, so you're headed back now? You flying? He goes, no, I'm driving. I'm like, driving back? I mean, it's, what, 12 hours? You know, good luck. Don't hit any Springboks on the way, you know?
You know, now the guys put in a real big effort to be there. I think they was looking forward to a great night, and I think they got it. It was a great night, yeah.
It was. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And our MC was pretty entertaining. And he came to my Bloemfontein meet and greet afterwards.
Yes, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. When he showed... Yeah, exactly. When Barry showed up, I'm like, but you know, I've been everywhere seeing like hundreds of people and doing all these appearances. And then I'm in Bloemfontein and I'm like, okay, I know this guy. Where do I know him from? I've met him somewhere. And then he started talking like, Uppington. Now I know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did 16 meet and greets in 30 nights in South Africa. Oof. That was a lot. I'll do meet and greets when I come back, but I'm not doing 16. If I stay for 3 weeks or a month, I'm not doing 16. That was a bit much. But I will continue doing engagements if people are interested. One of the coolest things I did up there, I don't know if you were keeping up with what happened, but I was asked by Kali Roo to speak to local farmers in Zeerust. And I went there and I spoke to the farmers, and I wasn't really sure because it was kind of short notice sort of thing. And I talked to them. You know, of course, I'm speaking in English and not in Afrikaans, and so I'm trying to find the right pace and tempo. And I wasn't sure how it went, but afterwards the feedback was incredible. They really enjoyed it. And sadly, one of the farmers who was there that night was murdered a couple nights later. He was out on patrol, and I cover the story because the South African media won't. The white commercial farmers who were pulling, roving patrols to protect people, the farmers and their property, responded to a farm attack against a black commercial farmer outside of Zeerust in the Mariko area. And as a consequence of that, trying to protect that black farmer, he was shot. And unfortunately, it just happened to catch him under his body arm, I guess, and he died. And apparently he was a very experienced security professional and a former police officer, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to mistake the story, but that's what I understand. And really tragic, but no media coverage whatsoever that white farmers were patrolling to protect the lives and property of black commercial farmers, which happens every day, but it never gets reported on. And this is tragic. Just a couple of nights, 3 nights after I had met him up there, and it's just really sad to see that sort of thing.
Because, that kind of thing is happening fairly often here in South Africa, and it's overlooked by the media. You know, with all these field fires we had in the Kalahari, the deep Kalahari, there not the Zell area up that way was big fires. And the fires actually at the stage was in Botswana as well. And the farmers request permission to enter to go and assist in those fires. They had no response from the South African side, and the Botswana side say, come, they lowered the fences, they went over, they helped them kill the fires, and those farmers eventually was by a letter thanked by the government of Botswana for the assistance they gave to the guys on the Botswana side. But not a word in our press, not a word from our government. And that is the stupid thing that exists in South Africa. And that's what going for, or causing some of our biggest problems is this whole thing of we are only coupled to the negative. We are only coupled to what goes wrong. We are only accused of the wrong stuff that is happening in South Africa, but no mention about what we have done, what we have built, what we have created, that they couldn't have created. It is as if they come in and they take possession of our heritage, then change the history to take control of our heritage and make it their own, or their own.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing happening on this side, but not quite to the degree you're seeing it. Although on this side, they have effectively removed the white Anglo-Saxon male from television commercials, from news broadcasts. They're virtually non-existent. The dinosaurs are more recent on television than you see white males and Christian males here. It's really sad. White males make up 38% of America's population, and you just don't see them on TV. 85% of my commercials are people that don't represent the demographics. And look, I don't have an issue with that, but for years I've been suffering insults and abuses about, well, television, TV, it doesn't represent the real makeup of America. Hang on just a second, I got a super chat. Anna Marie Nell says, don't get rid of the beard completely. Maybe a jawline one, maybe a Clooney look, just enough, just too little for everyone to be happy. I like it when you queer. I can't pronounce that. Afrikaans, Kuier. How do you say that? Kuier.
What?
How do you pronounce the word spelled Kuier? Queer.
Kuier.
Care. Okay, wait, I care. Okay, that's what she said. Anyway, she says she likes it when I care. Oh. So I sometimes Afrikaans words I get confused because I'm trying to say them in French or in German.
But care is a nice part.
Yeah, no, I got it. But yeah. So Christoph Havanga says, I drove through Goed Mariko and Zeerust earlier today. Well, that's cool. That drive is okay. It's not bad. I just don't like paying the darn the Bafokeng toll, which gets pretty pricey. Although with the rand collapsing last time, it cost me almost nothing. I barely noticed I paid for it. It used to be like $12 because the exchange rate. I think last time it cost me like $4 something, so I didn't mind that. It's crazy. Oh yeah, after hour sit rep says visit. Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's see. Anyway, so yeah, no, it's. Oh boy, I don't know what to say about what's going on here. The way that they just folks just it's in America the same sort of thing. We're getting a situation where people just expect things to be a certain way, and they have no desire to maintain it or pay for it or come up with something new, and then they blame other people for things just being amiss, and that's a shame. Drunken Yoda says, plus a Chris Wyatt statue bust with a beard would look great. Okay. Maybe at Gettysburg on the battlefield. That'd be pretty cool. And they'll just tear it down in 50 years. They'll rewrite history and call me a racist and and a homophobe and a transphobe and all these other things. Oh my goodness. It rand 85. Yeah. Well, that used to be $10-12. I mean, when the rand was 5 rand to the dollar, that was about $12. Yeah. So, John trolled the ANC Christmas on YouTube. He got blocked. I didn't know the ANC had a Christmas party on YouTube. That's not really something I tune in for. So John's out in Arizona. So your tour you did recently went pretty well. I take it you were visiting the structures and folks, and just it was probably for business, but also to wish them well for the holiday season. Is that probably an accurate assessment?
Yes, I had the need to go down and chat to the guys. Mm-hmm. Because we have broadened some of our borders further down south, and I had to tell the guys how it's going to work exactly in later time. So it was work, but of course for us it's also sort of a holiday, a breakaway for the family. So we had a very good meeting of about 150 people in Veldrift, and then down Oakdale Club in Cape Town, we had about 190, almost 200. And over 100 people in Gans Bay the next day. And 2 days later in Mossel Bay, we had, of course, we ran out of space. There was a huge number of people. And we went also up to Port Elizabeth and at the Dispatch Rugby Club, there where Danny Gerber used to come from and Rassie Erasmus. And there we had a huge crowd of people that came. And it's all concerned citizens who've attended. And then, of course, there was a couple of people that was simply inquisitive or they wanted to know a bit more. And it went well. And from there, we traveled to Pretoria to Nelspruit. Spent a couple of days in Nelspruit, and then we came back via Pretoria again and back to Uppington. So it was part work and part relaxing. And then I planned to somewhere in February, March to do a similar trip that I did now to the Cape. I will do to the northern parts and northern provinces and also again down to Natal and also the central parts of South Africa. So I can talk to all the guys and give the latest information through to them.
Well, and we probably should let people know, we discussed it before this broadcast, that my next trip to South Africa is February, and it will coincide with your trip, and there may be an opportunity for us to overlap and meet up and do another sort of campfire, or just, meet with folks and have another event like we had in Upington. So stay tuned for that, folks. We're looking to do that in February, probably somewhere. I will be for sure in Gauteng. I looked at flights today and found a decent flight. I'd like to pay less, but hey, $600 in taxes, you can't avoid that. But I found a decent flight today. I didn't book it yet, but a decent flight today. And so I'm already looking at it. But I'll be in Gauteng. I'll be in the Western Cape as well. My plan is to attend Steve Hofmeyer's concert, which was scheduled for the Tal Monument, but has been moved because they backed out of the contract. And now it'll be at Skalkberger's wine estate there in Wellington. So that'll be on the 4th and 5th of February. So everything will be focused around that. But I'll fly into Gauteng, and then I'll just fly down from there with iFly Safair or something like that down to the Western Cape, which works pretty well as long as you book ahead and get a good price. Yeah. And then I'll be back up to Gauteng. But from there, I'll be maybe Northwest, maybe in Mpumalanga. We'll see.
We will correlate the dates.
Yep.
And then we organize something.
Yep.
Everything is possible.
Absolutely. And it was such an amazing event last time. It would be a shame if we didn't do that. So Emery now wants to know if you ever have any events in Oudtshoorn.
Yes, I did. About a year and a half ago, but this time I went to Mossel Bay, and the guys from Oudtshoorn who belong to my group, they all came over the mountain and attend the Mossel Bay function. It's a bit difficult at this stage with the hectic program that we have to stop over in every town that there is. Impossible.
I can verify that, having just done something very intense for a month in South Africa. It's a lot to do. It's a lot of logistics and a lot of travel, and just organizing events is tough.
Yeah, and then, when you do that kind of thing, people must remember it's not so easy now with the huge fuel price hike that we had during 2022. It's coming down this week a little bit, but it's still high. So to travel everywhere costs a lot of money. That's one of the difficult things that we are having. Experience.
Chris is asking me to come to Upington again. I'll have to think about it, but that was my most expensive flight in South Africa. I should let you know. From OR Tambo to Upington was the most expensive. I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was more than I wanted to pay, but it was the most expensive flight. The milk run between Cape Town and Joburg, you can get a decent ticket if you buy in advance. And then the George, I was actually surprised at how inexpensive my flight from Cape Town to George was. It was, the airline got like 20 Rand. The rest was taxes, and I paid I think $45 for that trip. I must have got a really good deal. And then from PE, because I flew back from PE to Cape Town, that was okay. But the most expensive was flying to Upington. But it was a good flight. It was lovely flying. Listen, people they ask me, people always ask me, so what was Upington like? I'm like, it was great to be back in Botswana again. It looks just like
Botswana. Almost.
It's almost like being in Botswana. People speak Tswana. They speak Afrikaans, English. It looks the same. On approach to the airport, I could be landing in Kanye or somewhere like that in Botswana. It looks the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to look and see if Upington is doable this time. And I think really if Finet and I are able to link up somewhere else, then probably it wouldn't be Upington this time. We'll see. But yeah. There's Elmine 5 Pence. He just popped in, who I also met in Upington. Go ahead, Finet. I'm sorry.
No, I say if we organize a similar function like we did in Upington, we did it up north because it will also be good and nice for those guys to attend, and I think we can easily even beat the Upington crowd in numbers.
Okay.
Which I thought is difficult, but it won't be so difficult. Yeah, we can organize something there, and I already got something in my mind.
Okay, cool beans. Well, we'll keep that close to the vest for now, but we'll let people know as we get closer, and after I've secured a flight, make sure I'm on the way. Yeah, it should be interesting. It was a great experience, a lot of fun talking to people. Look, I mean, my trip, I've been to South Africa so many times. You know, I always tell people, I embellish a little bit. I say 400 or 500 times, but honestly, it's probably close to 400 times I've actually been in South Africa before this previous trip. But I never lived there, and I never was there for more than, say, 2 or 3 weeks at a time. This time I was there for a full month. And this time I knew people. Everywhere I went, I was greeted. Sometimes I felt like a rock star some places. I was recognized, no embellishment in this story, even though I like to embellish, 15 times that I can recall in South Africa, around the country, just walking around. I came out of the stadium there in Cape Town. I walked out to go do something, and as I walked out the backside of the stadium, I hear, "Chris!" I'm like, "Hey, it's Boom Shakalaka." That was one of my viewers. I hadn't been on my channel for ages. He recognized me, called me over. He was working there in business. They were involved with, liquor distributors or something like that. Anyway, ran into him. I ran into some famous people. I ran into people just out of the blue. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Aren't you Chris Wyatt? It was really cool. It was amazing. From the Ruud Constantia tour that we did, the documentary we made, to the trip and the event that took place at Uppington, to speaking at the Drakendale Girls School. Now it's a girls' school anymore. It's a choir school. Speaking there, appearing with Dr. Peter Hammond on his radio program at the Reformation Society, all the meet and greets. The biggest one we had was in Pretoria. That was incredible. We had like 40 people show up for that. It was a lot of fun that night. That's the night when the parking guy said, "Park here." I said, "Yeah, but that's going to block traffic." He goes, No, you can park there. They just go in the other way. And then like 20 minutes later, does somebody have this car, this license plate? Yeah, you need to move. They brought me outside, made me move the car. I said, he told me to park here. I said it wasn't right. Anyway, and I wound up parking right by the front door, so it worked out okay. But the meet and greets were incredible. Even the smaller ones. The smallest one we had was in Hermanus, and that was one of the best. It was really intimate, a really nice hotel there with about 8 people that showed up. It was really nice for people to come in. Some of those people drove a ways to get to me in Hermanus. But yeah, but it's funny because when I contacted the hotel, they said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "It's a meet and greet. One of my viewers. Why would you want to do that?" I said, "Because people are asking to meet me." "Well, you sure you want to do it here?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" Anyway, and then the hotel loved it. And when all these people showed up, they thought it was pretty cool. But it was an incredible trip. It'd be hard to replicate it, but we're going to give another good yeoman's effort here come February to see if we can't replicate what happened last August and September, which was pretty cool.
But just bring your jacket and your cap with, huh?
The jacket, it's summertime. I'll melt. That thing weighs 80 kilos. I'll take all my weight in my bag. I'll bring the cap. If you want me to wear a jacket, you're going to have to give me another one. Hint, hint.
Okay, but the shirt will do.
What's that?
Did I give you a shirt as well?
No, I didn't get a shirt. No. If I had a shirt, I didn't get a shirt. I got the coat and I got the cap. I didn't get a shirt.
Okay.
I'd love to have a shirt.
Okay,
yeah.
now I'll organize a shirt for you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Erie Ford Trekker says the Mossel Bay meeting was very good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? And I think we had pizza because one of my viewers bought pizza, if I recall correctly. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Mossel Bay one. The only sad part about it is that I couldn't spend more time. Mossel Bay is an interesting place. And those damn whales. I go out there to film those whales, and I see one whale, and he's like 3 kilometers away. I walk around. I finally get his tail coming out of the air. I'm gone 2 days later. One of my viewers is there, and he's got like hours of whale footage because they all came out. Those whales are going to hear from me. And then also the road from there got washed out. I don't know if people saw it, but the road that I traveled on was all washed out from the mountain collapsing and washing down into the sea. It was, but that ground is, it's all loose gravel up there that falls off the top of those peaks. So that's bound to happen. But apparently they got it all cleaned up now. But yeah. So Leovin says, I think a show with Giselle and Steve at the Ford Trekker Mine when it would be a sellout just the way. I tried to get Steve and Giselle to perform together before. It didn't really work out for a number of reasons. I don't know if it's something that Steve is interested in. But I mean, I suppose I could ask, but I need Steve to answer my damn messages before I can ask another question. So he's a great guy, but he's not good at, he's got everybody's attention. Everyone's writing to him all the time, contacting him. So I'm not giving him grief. I'm just saying that, unless he responds, I really can't say anything back. But yeah, that would be cool to see Giselle perform there. That would be cool. But yeah, again, Erie Ford Trekker, the Mossel Bay was incredible. And it was so relaxed and chill. That was such a lovely evening. I really, really liked it. It was a nice experience there. And the hotel was really nice too. So cool beans. Yeah. That's the thing about South Africa. There are great hotels and lodges all over the country. They're really wonderful. It's amazing. Even in places you would never imagine. I remember going to the Drakensberg years ago, and I pulled in a small village there, and I didn't expect to find anything. And I found a lodge, and I went out there, and it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I paid I must have paid like $30 US for the night, and with breakfast, it was unbelievable. And no one else was there. And then I went on to the Royal Amphitheater that morning after that. It was really nice. So yeah, beautiful places. But now I think I've been to every province in South Africa now. Yeah, with this trip, because I've never been to Eastern Cape and I've never been to Northern Cape, and now I've been to both. So I've hit all 9 of South Africa's provinces finally, which is interesting.
My light just died.
I see that. Was it on batteries? Or is it the bulb?
I'm rather not going to explain. It's a long story.
Okay.
I think it's now permanently disabled. I will probably have to go and look for another one tomorrow.
Well, don't fear not. I mean, permanent disability is a commonality. Joe Biden is permanently disabled. We know about that, so don't worry about your light.
Yeah, but my light at least don't have to make decisions.
It's true. And up until now, it's worked, which is different than Joe Biden. Oh, my goodness. Here, I didn't know this. I missed this. So Stacy, who lives out in San Diego, says she's a diehard rugby fan, but I want to congratulate the Big 12 team, Texas Christian University. The Horned Frogs, they're the champions. So they beat Georgia. Well, that's cool. TCU wins the national championship in college football here in the U.S. I haven't really followed it, but I did know they were in the final, so that's pretty cool. All right, cool. Ants is here. Welcome. People are streaming in now. You guys are coming a bit late. You're coming in late now. So, hey, Myra, how's it going? And who else we got? Erica's still in there. By the way, one of my viewers and my moderators here, Erica Unwin, who was a great host to me in Amazimtoti down there in KZN, and we rode around together. She set up the speaking engagement with the Drakendale Choir School. She had a stroke around the 1st of November, and has been in a hospital ever since. She's supposed to get out Wednesday if things go well. So thoughts and prayers to Erica, and let's wish her the best there. Drunk.
That's always said.
It is. It's a tough thing to do. But her physical therapy is going very well, apparently, and she's on the mend. So Georgia won. No, Georgia lost. Georgia lost. If TCU won, then TCU won, Texas Christian. Anyway, I'm sure that the left will go crazy because it's called Texas Christian University. They can't have that. It's like Southern Methodist University. They used to be big in football. We don't hear about them anymore. Don't want to talk about Southern Methodist. Anyway, so Monray Seibritz, who's in the Western Cape, says, Joe's light bulb has been blown for years already. Yeah, I think you're right about that one. We can't argue with that. So, what's going on in Uppington? Anything exciting? It seems like a very quiet place when I was there. Things just kind of come and go. I mean, no big events taking place in that part of the country or anything exciting happening?
Yeah, I was watching Steve's concert here right across the street from my home. And we had breakfast together the next morning. And then I also watched another show here because every second week at least there's some kind of show that's happening. Juanita du Plessis, I also watched here.
Oh, I love her. Oh, do you know her?
No, I've never met her.
I was trying to get in touch with her. Her daughter's incredible too, Franya, and Ron Joss is a pretty good singer too. That's her son. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But the past couple of weeks was the attraction was the Okavango waterfalls because the river came down very, very high. And I believe it was the first time almost in many, many years, or as far as people can remember, that all the dams overflowed for the third time in 1 year.
Wow.
And all that water was coming down over December this way. The river is still fairly high at the moment. And I think we can expect another good go in the next couple of weeks. There's a lot of rain falling in the country. Not in Uppington. Here it's also raining, but only a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we get all the water from up east, from that side. But apart from that, Uppington remains quiet and silent, with all the heat in the day. People are very quiet, lying low. And a great lot of people is, of course, on the summer vacations somewhere next to the sea and relaxing. And it's not so busy at the moment in Uppington, but it will pick up over the next couple of weeks.
For me, it's a bit too warm this time. That's the thing. I'm a 16, 18 degree kind of guy. Anything above that really doesn't interest me. So that was a tough part about living in Botswana, where it gets up to 40 at times. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, but we got some nice craft beer here. That helps a lot.
Well, that's true. That makes it a lot more pleasant. Okay, so it was fake news on my part. I got distracted in the conversation. The national championship game has not been played. It's next weekend. Georgia defeated Ohio State. I did know about that, and the guy got a field goal blocked at the end. TCU won their game, so they go to the final against Georgia. So it's one of those two teams on January 9th. Thank you for correcting it. Sorry for the fake news, folks. That was my error there. I got a little ahead of myself there. Yeah, no, it's. Have you ever had a chance to go up to the Okavango? I mean, I've been there in the dry season and when the rains come, and it's unbelievable, the transformation.
Yes, I have been there, and it's very nice. Depending on your time, that's also a nice place to visit.
Yeah.
And a good friend of mine got a lodge there, Salvimba Lodge.
Okay, cool.
And it's in the Caprivi still, but lying on the river, and on the other side, on the Kwandu River, and on the other side is Botswana. And then there's another friend of mine that got a lodge again on the Okavango River, also just before it enters into Botswana.
Okay, so up in the Caprivi.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Western Caprivi, actually Rundu side.
Okay, Rundu side. Okay. Well, that used to be a big SADF base, Rundu, back in the day. Yeah. It's I've been very fortunate to find it. I mean, I have been in the Okavango on multiple trips, and I've done it pretty much every way you can do it. The first time was a 4x4, drove in and went through the went to Maremi Game Park, went through that, and then actually came out. I was going to go to Savuti, but the guy I was with wimped out. He didn't want to spend the night at a hard site out there, so we turned around and came back, went back to Maun. That was a lot of sand. I've never gotten stuck in the sand in my life, including in tanks in the desert, but I almost got stuck there when he was driving. Once we found a solid spot, I made him get on the other side of the truck, and I drove the bucky the rest of the way because I'm not getting stuck in the sand out in the middle of the freaking desert. But so did it by 4x4 that way, and then the next time I did it, I flew out to a campsite from Maun on a plane, landed on a hard strip out there and stayed in a lodge and went around, saw leopards and everything under the sun. That was incredible. And then the third time, the third method is with the Botswana Defense Force. We were helping them redesign their intelligence infrastructure. And so I had people come in from intelligence centers in Europe and Africa Command, and the intelligence chief had us up there with the anti-poaching operations. And we flew in a Huey helicopter for about 2.5 hours over the Okavango. I mean, that's like a $10, $12, $15,000 experience if someone does that privately. It was unbelievable. And the pilots, they know where all the wildlife are because they fly it every day. And so, like, you want to see the Cape Buffalo, and other guys had not seen that. I've seen Cape Buffalo. I'm like, that's fine. We don't see it. So then they find the Cape Buffalo herd, but then they harass them. They fly down almost at the ground level and piss off and anger the Cape Buffalo. You can just see them turning their heads around like, oh, if I could get a hold of the runners on that helicopter, I'd drag you down. Yeah, no, but it was pretty incredible. So, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've seen it when it's dry, bone dry. I've seen it when all that water starts rushing, and I've seen it when it's recharged. The Okavango is one of nature's treasures. It's unbelievable. It's a fascinating place. And then, of course, in Maun, you also get the added cultural impact of the Herero, because some of the Hereros who survived the Omakeki Desert when the Schutztruppe cut them off, poison wells, and tried to hunt them down, some of them slipped into Bechuanaland, which is what it was at the time, and they settled in the Maun area, and there are thousands of Herero who are not from there. They are now because they've been there for 100 years, but they're originally from what's now Namibia. And so you get them with their Victorian-style dresses and the top knots and stuff. It's a very interesting cultural thing, especially women wearing these big dresses when it's 40 degrees outside. It's pretty crazy. What's this? Ronaldo is a celeb now, featuring in South African fake news. Oh, Ronaldo's on SABC for what? What did he do? Is it about? Oh, by the way, if you make it up to the Free State, my recommendation is just skip the campsites and the grounds. Don't go to any of the pools, and just go up to Mahalisburg. It's safer.
I don't think if it's safer, but we must be careful in South Africa. Yeah. We are now the easy targets. And we must not allow that they pull us into any kind of arguments, because we will always lose.
Mm-hmm. And understand that whatever you do, wherever you're at, all the time, somebody's got a mobile phone. They're going to record it. They're going to selectively edit what is said and what occurs, and it will be done in a fashion you won't look good.
And I know it's difficult. I know it's hard, but we have to, for our own sake at this stage, for our own sake of survival, we got to do it. Be careful. Don't let they, what is the word? Moet jy nie uitlok nie.
Yep. No, absolutely. It's just people, we need to be cognizant of that. It was on SABC cleaning operations in PE. Oh, okay. Well, that's good news then. I mean, if he's talking about they're cleaning up. And Ronaldo's very proud of the beach cleaning. I was in PE and I went on the beach and it looks pretty good. What I found fascinating, and this could have been white folks or black folks. You see this all the time. Some people from Gauteng who had never seen the ocean. Their first time ever. They're like little kids. These are all adults, black men who lived in Gauteng. And these vendors were out there selling stuff on the beach. And I saw these guys running around there, like grabbing sand and putting it in bags and stuff. I'm like, what is going on? And the guy says, they've never seen the sea before. Okay, I got it. I mean, people who've never seen the sea, that's not uncommon, regardless of their ethnic background. But it was pretty entertaining. But the beach was very clean there. I was surprised. But this I can say, I wouldn't feature Port Elizabeth high on my tourist destination list. It wasn't that exciting. Yeah, I'm sure that people live there like it. But the coastal drive though was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I had never had a chance to do that. Finally got to do that. Rob Hutchison and I did that. He met me at George at the airport, then drove me over to Mossel Bay. We hung out in Mossel Bay, and I stayed at the Santos Express, which is a converted luxury train on the beach there. Lovely. And the owners were viewers of mine, and they were great hosts. Had a fantastic time, was treated very well. Had a meet and greet there. That was a fun meet and greet at Mossel Bay. Never been. Met Chaim Marks, went to his house there. He lives in that area. And then we went back to George. I just missed Elvis Blue at his coffee shop there. I was going to interview him. It's unfortunate I missed him. We were a few minutes late. And then went on the garden route all the way to Port Elizabeth. And it was amazing. The only frustrating thing about the garden route is it's a speed trap. The entire way, find it. It's 80, it's 100, it's 60, it's 80, it's 100, back and forth. Oh, here comes the coffee. Hello. Yeah. So
just around the halfway mark.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it's the problem with that trip was that it's all speed traps. The cameras, the cops are there. It's all about making money. It's very frustrating because I get if you reduce the speed for entering a built up area, there's people, it's a safety issue. If you've got to reduce the speed because of dangerous curve or, bends and such. But I mean, you're on a straightaway and it's 80, then it's 60, then it's 80, then it's 120. And you got to pay attention all the time or you're going to get a ticket. That's what it's all about. And I hate when they do that. It's a shame.
Yeah, that's all the way from George to on the other side of Plettenberg by Keerboomstrand. You pass there, only then there at the toll gate. From there onwards to be is a good road without a lot of speed traps. But until there, it's always 60, 80 or 100.
Yeah, yep. Crazy. The word you were looking for earlier, which I couldn't think of, I got the context when you said Afrikaans, but the word you were looking for was provoke. People are trying to provoke you.
Yes, that word, that one.
Yeah,
it's a nice word.
It is.
But we mustn't allow ourselves to be provoked into any situation.
Yeah, no, I got you. But it's difficult, particularly when you walk away from something to de-escalate a situation and people pursue you and try to start it and selectively edit. I saw something in a shopping mall here in the U.S. that occurred in which two gentlemen walked away and these thugs kept coming after them. And eventually one gentleman was just standing there, wasn't even involved. The guy sucker punched him and that started a melee. Two white guys held their own against about a dozen black guys who were kicking them in the back, kicking them in the face when they were down. And they came out of it okay. But who knows? There'll probably be charges filed against them because of the way things go. But yeah, no, it's difficult to avoid being provoked when people are determined to drag you into it. The best thing is you can is just walk away because the truth won't be on your side. That's the problem. The truth will not be on your side. If you didn't do anything wrong, it doesn't matter. It's people's emotions, how they feel, and what they capture on film. And if it wasn't for the video footage that happened in Wisconsin, Kyle Rittenhouse would be in prison today for a crime he never committed because of the hyperbolic, emotional, fake media coverage and the baying and braying for his blood. But when the video footage from multiple sources is put together, it shows clearly that the young man did nothing wrong. He attempted to de-escalate and walk away from the scene. He was chased. His life was threatened. The guy tried to beat him. He fired. The guy came at him again. He fired a non-threatening, not a lethal shot the first time. Then the second time he fired a shot. Then he went over to render assistance to the man he just shot until a crowd came chasing after him and tried to beat him to death. And then he left the scene. He ran down the street. They chased him from behind. They struck him in the back of the head with a skateboard, knocked him to the ground. They assaulted him on the ground. He turned around, and the first guy came at him. He fired when the guy wouldn't back down. That guy was wounded. And then another guy came at him, and he had the presence of mind, despite all this as a 16, 17-year-old kid, the presence of mind to not shoot the next assailant. The next assailant came at him. He raised his rifle, and we don't know if he warned him, but he raised it. The guy said, okay, he backed off, and he didn't shoot him. He got up. He carefully walked away from a scene where he was just assaulted and attacked in the back of the head. They tried to kill him. And the other guy too. He walked to the police. He put his hands in his air and he said, I've just shot someone. I want to surrender. The police told him to go on. And all of this was lied about. They said that he illegally carried a firearm into the state, that he was a criminal, that he was a white supremacist and a racist, when in fact he provided assistance to injured black people and injured white people at the scene. He was there as a medic, but he had a firearm to protect himself. And if he didn't have the firearm, he would be dead today. It was a legal licensed firearm given to him by his father in that state, even though he lived with his mother in another state. He never transported across state lines. That's another lie. All of that is the narrative that was put out there, and none of it was true. And if it wasn't for the footage, at least we had a legitimate trial in which the gentleman was found innocent. But they're still going after him for civil case. The people, the pedophiles who tried to murder him, their survivors are suing him in civil court when they attacked him. They're not going to win. And by the way, this young man is incredibly wealthy because of the slander and libel from the media. He sued and made tens of millions of dollars off of it. So good on him. But that's the world we live in.
That's it, Kyle guy. Kyle
Rittenhouse. Yep.
Rittenhouse, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I followed this story. But anyway, Chris, what is the situation in the U.S., the feeling about the Ukraine war at this stage?
Well, that's a good question. It's actually turning against the Ukraine. A lot of people have had enough of Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, they're not in love with Putin for the most part, but what's going on is a lot of people are very angry because, and he didn't help himself. I mean, we have given him $130 billion to fight this war thus far. We have had no genuine effort from Joe Biden or anyone in this administration or in NATO or at the European Union to suggest a peace conference or anything to end the conflict. They just keep sending weapons. And now, Zelensky makes a fake claim, well, I want to have a peace conference, but the Russians have to vacate all territory, including the Crimea. Well, that's not going to happen. The Russians have annexed the Crimea, which has a 95% Russian population in 2014. So that's not a real attempt. Putin says he has an offer, but I don't know if that's really there. But the point here is that after he came to Congress, now when he went to the World Economic Forum, he wore a business suit with a tie to meet with Klaus Schwab. When he came to our Congress, he wore a khaki pullover, a sweater, as if he's a wartime leader. And that's how he walked around like a conquering king in D.C. He spoke before a joint session of Congress, and they gave him $47 billion. He said, thanks, but it's not enough. You need to give me more money. A lot of people in America have had enough of this nonsense. And it's not just people on the right. A lot of people on the right were in favor of Ukraine initially. But his behavior, I mean, this guy has banned political opposition parties. He has banned the use of Russian when 1/3 of the population in the Ukraine is Russian, and the predominant population in the eastern part of the country is almost entirely Russian. He's banned the use of Russian, and so many other anti-democratic, anti-liberty steps he's taken. And where is the money? Where is the accountability for the $130 billion he's gotten so far? Now we're going to give him more? I mean, that's more money than we've given to Africa in the last 30 years, the entire continent. What we've given to Ukraine in a war that could have been prevented if Joe Biden wasn't sleeping when he took office in 2021. So the mood in America is very much turning against him. I've been doing videos, and when Ukraine comes up on TikTok, which is a pretty caustic platform, but you're getting people on both sides of the poll, but I'm getting more and more people who are responding that have had enough. As we say in German, ich habe die Nase voll gehabt. I've had enough up to my nose of this, and they've just had enough. The problem is that the left has painted anyone that didn't sycophantically bow down and put on little virtue signaling Ukrainian flags everywhere and fly flags and I'm with Ukraine. If you didn't do that, you were a Russian stooge. You were an operative of Putin. Well, I'm not an operative of Putin. I don't like Putin. I've never liked him. And I'm honest. The three people responsible for this conflict are Vladimir Putin, Volodymyr Zelensky, and Joseph Robinette Biden. They are the people culpable in this conflict for whatever reason. And Americans, now it's starting to change. It's just like the jab. We won't talk about that. But because of the Twitter files and because Twitter's not censoring people, the narrative has changed. Now people running around and turning against the jab. Well, I was wrong. No mercy. No mercy. When you told people they should go to prison or be put in camps because they didn't get jabbed, and you people refuse to show me where your smallpox jab is or where your rabies jab is, I got all those. Show me yours. Anyway, so that narrative is also changing, and it's long overdue. So the Ukraine is losing support amongst the American population, but the political elites in the uniparty cabal of Republicans and Democrats are still in league with the Ukrainians. So the only way that that's going to end is if the Republicans in the House stop legislation from going through and we get to 2024 and they just abandon Ukraine. But right now, Americans are turning against the Ukraine situation entirely.
But the point is, with Zelensky's appearance before Congress, it was all to get those budgets approved.
Yeah.
Before the Republicans took over the House.
Of course.
That was their last chance.
Exactly. That was entirely the reason why he came here. Yep.
I heard today that the next time that the Congress would be in a position to either say yeah or nay to the budget is next year, August. Or this year, August, 2023, August. So all the spending of the money until there, the new Congress have no say over.
Yep, that's the way. But I mean, to be honest, to be fair, it shouldn't have had any say. They should have had a budget 8 months ago. So the process starts in January. They have until September to submit a budget before the end of the fiscal year. So you're supposed to submit it in August, 8 months later. So 8 months to work on it. They didn't get it done. They extended it until November. They didn't get it done. They extended it till December, just before Christmas. They didn't get it done. Then they extended 1 week to Christmas just to make anybody that opposed it look like they're grumpy people. Oh, you want to shut the government down for Christmas. So first off, let me be very clear to my audience, which I think knows this. The government doesn't shut down. When we don't have a budget, air traffic controllers continue to work. Drug and enforcement agents continue to work. Customs and border security continue to work. The government key leaders continue to work. The military, whether they get a salary or not, must go to work and defend this nation abroad, in combat, peacekeeping, or back here at home in garrison. All of that continues. What doesn't happen is we don't fund, sacrilegious, Robert Mapplethorpe, horrific images of Christ through the National Endowment of the Humanities. We don't give money to New York City to improve coordination in the mayor's office. We don't build bridges that go to nowhere. That stuff stops, and none of that should be happening anyway. So I'm perfectly fine with the government being shut down. But the other thing that happens, and this is why it's politically sensitive, is that if they don't approve a budget, then federal workers don't get paid. And that's a real story. So they get furloughed. And that makes a lot of people angry because we have about 800,000 federal workers, and that's a problem. But the thing is that they delayed it, and then they, in the middle of the night, this the best video I've seen from a politician in years, find it, was Rand Paul wheeling out the bill stacked up, 4,155 pages. He said, this was delivered at my office here at the Senate at 1 a.m. this morning, and we're going to vote on this in an hour. 4,155 pages. How am I supposed to have read 4,000 pages since 1 o'clock this morning? That's impossible. And then he says, this is what they do. This is disgraceful. Now, the worst part about this bill is it's 1.7 trillion in spending on top of the 6 trillion they're already spending on a continuing resolution, which means the previous budget, they're allowed to continue it. So now they've added another 1.7 trillion, taking us close to $7-8 trillion per year, which is insane. And 1.1 trillion of that is deficit spending. There's no money. So why are we building bridges to nowhere? Why are we funding the minority health fund to a tune of $500 million in the public broadcasting corporation? They should be getting no money because there's no money there. And that's the big problem. And you're right. The timing of the Zelensky visit was for hearts and strings to guilt people into voting for this thing. And it's just a disgrace. These people don't represent you and me. They don't, and whether they're in Cape Town or they're in DC or they're in London or wherever they're at, they don't represent us. They represent themselves. There are exceptions. There are legitimate, patriotic, hardworking politicians in every country, but they're a very small minority, unfortunately. And they're certainly not the leaders of any major country in the world today. There isn't a single major country in the world today that has legitimate, hardworking, conscientious, for the people worldview. It just doesn't exist. They're either in it for themselves or for their political parties. And that's why the world is collapsing around us.
Yeah, I agree on that. If you look at Europe and the decisions that they are making, in as far as this whole Ukraine-Russian thing is concerned, and we can see that Germany is probably struggling the most because of the war, because they don't have gas for their industries to run properly. But maybe it's a chat for another day.
Yeah, I think so.
One world order. You've mentioned Klaus Schwab, which Zelensky visited and pays respect by wearing a suit, but no respect to the government in the United States by arriving there in a T-shirt or a sweater, as you called it.
Yep.
And I get the impression that all the leaders currently in Europe and in Canada, some other states, are all people somehow linked to Klaus Schwab and obeying the instructions of a leader that hasn't been chosen. Now, we read a lot about it, we heard a lot about it, but in fact, it's happening.
Yeah,
all their plans that they are doing. But anyway,
like I said,
maybe
there's no such thing as conspiracy theories anymore. They're just accurate future predictions. That's what they are now. I mean, all the things that people have had they've all come true. I mean, most of them, it's crazy. Yeah, but we'll save that for another conversation, and we probably should wrap up with your light being out. It's evening there, even though I'd love to keep talking, but we haven't been together for a while, so pretty cool. But we'll get together again sometime soon. We'll check our schedules and do this again. Hey, Rob is here. Rob McGimsey says, good evening, Find and Chris. Always great for us to discuss worldly matters. Best wishes to you all in 2023. Thank you for that, Rob. Appreciate that. It's so we'll get back together sometime soon. Now that we're back in the swing for 2023, I think you're right. It may be a very difficult year, but I'm not going to let that slow me down. I'm not going to let it break my stride. To quote a song, nothing's going to hold me back.
No, of course not. Of course not. We got to go forward. We got to keep on doing. We got to keep on talking and living.
Yep, we got to do it for ourselves and for our progeny. We got to make the world a better place if we can. Paulie said Italy's president is the prime minister. I think is for him the most impressed in the world. She is, but Italy is a minor country now. It's a leech on the European Union. Its economy is in free fall, and most of its textile industry, shockingly, is owned by Chinese companies now. Of course, that's how the spicy cough got to Europe. It went in through Italy. Remember that. But so she is impressive, but she can be counterbalanced because she's but one player in NATO in the political structure and in the military structure. And the European Union, Italy is a minor actor. It's France and Germany that drive that locomotive. They make the decisions in the European Union. Yeah. So if France or Germany don't want it, don't want to have it, it doesn't happen in the European Union. The European Union is a vanity club for France and Germany to dominate Europe. And that's what it's always been since probably about the 1980s. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, but that is the case. All these countries want European Union access. A lot of them are regretting it now because Europe is going after Hungary, European Union. The Brits have left it, but they haven't really left it. They've just left it on paper. They're still acting like they're in the European Union. So anyway, but Zelensky is getting his dues from Biden. I don't know about that, but he's certainly getting a lot of money from the American taxpayer. And John says Elon Musk is with the CIA. I don't know. I think he's probably more competent than the CIA. I'm just saying. I've worked with him. Yeah, Stacy says, how do people not see the writing on the wall? It's beyond me wearing my tinfoil hat with pride. Well, there you go, Stacy. And thank you for the super chats we got earlier, guys. Why don't we wrap up? Any thoughts or comments or wishes in the new year as we wrap up this stream? I turn the floor over to you for a few moments to give you a chance to share some thoughts with the world.
Chris, at this stage, I'm still watching listening to what is happening, because it's awfully quiet the last couple of days. And things will very definitely heat up in the next month or so after the holidays is finished. So all I can say and close down with is people must remember one thing. We must be wide awake to what is happening in South Africa, but also what is happening in the world, because the two are connected. You cannot see South Africa in isolation, neither the world. But apart from being vigilant, watchful and careful, and watch out for your people, we still got to live. And my message tonight is that we must keep on living. Somehow, no matter how large or big the problem, the challenges are ahead of us, we still got to live. We will get through it. Maybe once we got through it, all the problems, there will be a new and a more bright future. And that includes the world as well.
Well stated. That's going to be hard for me to top that one. I'll give it a shot when I close. But find it, Toit. Always a pleasure. Good to see you back. I'm glad we finally got back to doing this. Bye, Donkey. And once again, Happy New Year to you and your family, and to all the folks in your organization there as well. And best of luck. We'll see you here hopefully sometime soon, and we'll chat in the meantime. So thanks a lot. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the waiting room, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
See you next time, Chris.
All right,
bye.
All right. Let me put him over there. Oh, he got there on his own. Well done. Fine. He's a pro. Anyway, thanks, folks. And by the way, those of you who've gone and subscribed to his channel, thank you for that. It's pretty awesome that I can direct traffic to his channel. It's nice to see that, especially my channel is as small as it is right now and not the size it once was. But thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate your support for the channel. I'll debate about whether doing a night house today. I might do one. I've got time now in my hand. Just got to get some exercise in, because I took care of a very complicated security questionnaire for my security clearance. Oh, my goodness. Foreign travel, every trip. What did you do? Did you ever participate in an organization that advocated the violent overthrow of the U.S. government? Did you go here? Did you do that? Where did you work? What was the address? What was the phone number? Who knew you? This, oh my gosh, it takes so long. And it's all already stored online from previous investigations, but it still took me hours to get through it. So now I've got to review it to make sure I got it correct, so they'll accuse me of lying by typing the wrong thing. All right, so Stacy seemed to enjoy the program a lot. Carlo, thank you very much. John enjoyed it. What is this? What's the real population? It's about 60 million, a little over 60 million in South Africa. You're welcome. You're very welcome, Carlo. I hope you're a subscriber. If you're not, please become one. We could use the subscribers. And Christoph Havanga, who was traveling up there Northwest. What else? Bebop Williams. Okay, that's pretty much it, folks. I'll consider doing a night out if anybody wants to tune in. In fact, let me do a poll right now. There's 100 people here right now. Let me do a poll before you all run off and see if I can get this poll up before it's below 100. Should we do a night owls? And I want to see how many people vote. If we can get as many as possible, should we do a night owls tonight? Okay, you guys tell me. Okay. All right, and we're still at 100, and I got the poll out. So the poll's out. I didn't check my typing. Hopefully it's good. Should we do a night house today? There you go. It worked out. Please respond to the poll. Based on the poll, like Elon Musk, I'll make a decision. Should I resign as the CEO of Indaba Africa? Let me put the poll out there. Anyway, no, I'm in a Twitter. By the way, Elon Musk, if you're looking for a CEO with leadership experience at the operational, the tactical, and the strategic level, someone who's devoted to free speech and protecting people's liberty and rights, and also having a healthy discourse, look no further than right here. I'm available. If you wish to employ me as the CEO of Twitter, I'll tell you what, I'll take the job for just the relocation fees, my travel, you pay for my housing out there, and give me a stipend of, let's say, I'll do it for $25,000 or $50,000, but I want some stock options. And we're ready. Let's roll. Somebody contact Elon. Tell him he's found his next CEO of Twitter. I'm here. I'm available. I'm up for the challenge. 34 votes. That means 1/3 of the people have actually had a chance to vote already. Anyone else going to do that? Get in there. Get your fingers in there. Let's see if we can get some more votes in there. All right. So my 5 pence says till later. Okay, cool beans. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. But I'm available. If Elon Musk is serious about hiring someone to be the CEO of Twitter, I'm even willing to live in California. Sorry, Stacy. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I've lived in California. It's gone so far downhill, and I've been back to California recently. Well, not that recently. It's been 4 years now. But yeah, so not my cup of tea anymore. They've ruined paradise. Yeah, they paved paradise and put up a pink parking lot. Put up a parking lot. Anyway, that was how the song went. All right, how are we doing on votes? We got 39, a few more. Can we get up to 50? Amanda Delport, Amanda, good to see you again. I wish you a kick-ass 2023 as well. Thank you. Martin Metz, you've been gone for a long time. I've trimmed my beard. That is correct. I did trim my beard over a week ago. Yep, I sure did. Yeah, I also got a haircut over a week ago. So there you go. And Rod Lofeld, time to visit Mpumalanga. Yeah, probably. I haven't been to Nelspruit in a long time. I wonder if I could time it for rugby. The February, that's another thing. I have to look and see who's playing rugby. I'm going to go to rugby games while I'm there. Maybe get some interviews if I can. That would be so cool. Contact them. That's something I have to put in the trip this time too. Try to get some media access to that. Yeah, so, yep, Martin, I have trimmed it. Thanks. If you guys are here and you're a subscriber and you haven't been notified, I ask you to go to the channel, click on the bell, and then re-click on all notifications because that sometimes works. Anyway, so we got 40 votes. I don't think we're going to get to 50 votes here. We got 40 now. Yes, I got it, Martin. I know you were typing beard. It's just a typo. That's what happens on phones. Difficult sometimes to get it in there. So Debaram said, thanks to Vine. Yes, thank you to Vine Toy, my co-host for today's program. It's our first time since August doing it. It was long overdue, but it was a lot of fun. You can see that he's had a lot of travel recently, as have I. Yeah, so anyway, give Putin a call. What's this? Give him California in exchange for the Crimea. Stacy became a member. I didn't see that. Let me go back and check that. Thank you for that. Let me see. So I will give Stacy a salute here. Get ready, Stacy. Memberships. Wow. And Bruce Donaldson rejoined, and Rolf Corver joined 2 days ago. Thank you, Rolf. And Stacy just rejoined, or just joined. Thank you for that. Okay, Stacy, I'm going to let you know. So here, this is a salute for you, Stacy. So I do this when anybody becomes a paying member and when their membership renews on the channel. I do, so there's Leo Vinyanza from Landsberg. This is what I do. Now, that's a sign of respect for those who are able to support the channel financially as a member. So that's the least I can do. So, Leovin, thank you. Stacy became a member. This one's for Stacy. Ready, Stacy? You can do a screen capture if you want. Thank you. So, yeah, that's what I do. And then I wave for people if I see subscriptions come up. But thank you so much for that. How are we doing on votes? What are we up to now? We still at 40? We're still at 40. It looks like that's all that's going to vote. So Christoph Havang is back. I had a few late evenings, back to work tomorrow, early bed. Okay, cool beans. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up and end the poll here. 40 votes. There you go. 40 of you. There's still 87 here. You're probably on the mobile or you don't want to vote. That's your prerogative. I said not about Chris living in California. I'm here because of family and escape elsewhere. Yeah, no, Stacy, I got you. I know, but you're talking, you said San Diego is the most beautiful place in the world. I think you said that. That was my reference point on that. Anyway, so the consensus seems to be to have a night owl. So 40 votes, 77%, so that's 8 out of 10. So that would be 30, 32 of you said you'd be here. That's enough to get me to do it. There will be a night owls. All right, so thank you for that. We'll do a night owls coming up sometime soon. And it is Monday, right? Is Ronaldo on today? Let me take a look and see if Ronaldo's on Google, YouTube. Let me see if Ronaldo's on. If he is, I'll give a link over there to him. Yeah, he's on right now. So let me just let me do that. If you want to go over to Ronaldo after this, just hang on tight. We'll send you over there in just a moment, and you'll be able to join him over there. So I need to do customization, and I want to go to the redirect. The redirect is going to be videos from other channels, and that's sec. So let me save the change. All right, that's pretty cool. So if anybody wants to go to Ronaldo, you can do it right after the stream, and I'll be doing a night owls coming up. So thank you all so much, and appreciate it. The stories, the stories are fun, and it's nice to hear it. It's part of life that's been lived. Thank you to my co-host, Vine Toit, and Happy New Year to everybody out there. I'll catch you a little bit later for night owls after it gets set up. And if you are on TikTok, feel free to come join me on TikTok. At Africa Matters on TikTok. I've gone from 360 followers to 1,600 in the last few days over there. So got a little bit of surge going on. I've got 2 videos with over 40,000 views. and another with 10,000, one with 28,000 views. Yeah, and several with several thousand views. So pretty cool stuff. All right, folks, thank you for that. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it already. It's easy. It's right below the video. You just push that button.
That was easy.
There you go. Oh, Stacy, you got the screenshot. There you go. There you go. That's pretty cool, huh? That's why I do it. But you can always go back and replay it afterwards if you know the timestamp and do it. But I do that as a thank you. It's pretty cool. How often do you get a colonel saluting you? Anyway, folks, that's it. If you stay here, you'll be directed automatically to Ronaldo's channel after the stream. Go ahead and check him out if you want. Cheers, everybody. We'll find out what he was doing on television. All right. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.